This is Senator Tina Smith. She is a progressive Democrat representing the great state of Minnesota. She's the only U.S. senator to have worked for Planned Parenthood and was formerly the lieutenant governor of Minnesota. We're so excited to have her on today to talk about ICE in her state and DHS funding. Hi, Senator.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be with you. Nice to see you again. Hi, Dee. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Hi, Meredith.
Hi. Thank you so much for being here with us. I do need to know, that looks like a really cool painting behind you. We do need to discuss this. What's going on? Right? That big painting?
I know. Okay, here. Right. There you go. That painting is from the Wiseman Art Museum in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's the University Art Museum. It was painted by an artist named Cameron Booth. And isn't it so cool? It's very sort of like Midwestern Horace Barn, but it's just also this kind of expressionist colors. I'm so glad you like it. It looks like it goes with the painting of Lincoln behind V. You know, I really respond to color, and that's what my office is about. I'm not like the typical politician. I don't have a lot of pictures of me shaking hands with other more famous people than me.
We'll send you a print. We're doing print.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Yeah. I mean, at this moment, it's probably for the best. I think there's a lot of people with hands shaking that they're like, let's take that picture down.
Yes, exactly.
So on a more serious note, your state has been going through it. I don't know how else to put it. You've had citizens literally shot in the street. You've had children pulled off the street. First of all, how are you doing, and how are the constituents of your state doing? Let's just start there.
I was home this weekend, and I was just on a Zoom call with a group of folks that are doing crime victim services. So folks that are victims of domestic violence, abuse, and it just drove home to me again how the ripple effect of what the federal government, ICE, is doing in Minnesota is affecting just everybody. And I mean, I'm exhausted, but what about the people that have been out on the ground in Minnesota for the last many, many weeks? They have just been, tracking where ICE is going, blowing whistles, making sure that people are on alert. But then they're also, you've heard the stories. They're like organizing mutual aid to get people food who are afraid to leave their apartment. They're helping daycare teachers, driving them back and forth to their jobs because they're afraid to drive by themselves. They are trying to figure out how to get their mom medicine because their mom has been detained, and if she doesn't get her heart medication, she could die. This literally happened just in the last couple of, just recently. Somebody was detained by ICE. She didn't have her heart medication. We couldn't figure out how to get ICE to allow her medication in to the building, and she ended up in the emergency room. So it's just it's like being in a war, like being in an extended conflict, except it's the federal government that is doing this. It is it's been incredible. Now I just want to say, just put it out there. I mean, how about these Minnesotans?
I know.
Blueprint, truly. That's how I felt watching this. Is I'm like, okay, everybody take notice of what's happening here and dig deep like you're from Minnesota, because
we're like you're gonna come into our state in the dead of winter and you're gonna think that you can intimidate us, and you can't even walk on the ice.
The descendants of Vikings fighting back.
Right. Like we live here because we don't give a shit about how cold it is. We just keep on fighting. And so I think that there is I'm joking about it, but I'm actually so serious about it because I think that my Minnesota has been showing America how you stand up to this brutality, how you stand up to bullies. And that becomes a source of inspiration for everybody.
It genuinely has been.
Yeah. I think one of the things that has been, we really saw Minnesota stand up and push back was I call it the kidnapping of Liam Ramos. And we know he's recently gone back to Minnesota. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, have you spoken with him and his family? And also, I guess one of the things I'm wondering is what comes next for Liam and his father, Adrian? Because, obviously they were released, but Are they going to take this? I know he's here on asylum. He is here legally. What is the next step here?
Yeah. So, it's such a good question. And I mean, there's so many layers to it. So I have not spoken to them, but I have spoken to their lawyer. And I know that, there was so much work that was put into getting them out. So the first thing I want to say is that God bless this little boy. I'm originally from New Mexico. And so I know a little bit of Spanish, very little bit of Spanish. And conejo means rabbit in Spanish. And so he wears his rabbit ears because that's his name. His name is Liam Conejo Ramos. They're home now, but they don't know how long they're going to be home, because what happens with this Justice Department is they realize that there are these individuals that achieve sort of superstardom in their oppression, and then they go after them over and over and over again. So they're like, oh, we're trying to figure out if we can detain them again. So I don't think that they feel like they are out of the woods, that they are that they're safe.
Right.
But then the other layer of this is that because his picture was so anguished, and because everybody could relate to this little guy with a Spider-Man backpack, he captured the attention. But people should know there are like hundreds of Liams. I mean, just this one school has had multiple kids detained with their families. I was talking to the governor yesterday, and he said that they have evidence that ICE is targeting schools, because they know, okay, that's where the parent is going to be. They're going to have to go to pick up their kid. And it's a way for us, in this dragnet strategy they have of rounding people up. So, it's we have to really be strong, because Liam is home for now, but there are so many kids that are still in Texas that have not been returned to their families, not been returned to their schools. And it's not just Minneapolis. It's schools all over the state of Minnesota, little towns.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I mean, there's apparently now a measles outbreak happening in the Dilley Detention Center. I just thought your colleague, Representative Kelly Morrison of Minnesota, visited the Whipple Detention Center. And I wanted to know, have you visited the Whipple? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
The detention centers?
Absolutely. I actually went to Whipple, and Senator Klobuchar and I went to Whipple just a few hours before Kelly did, and had a chance to look around and see what was going on there. We had to give them 7 days notice. So let's be honest, they had things, I think, they knew that we were going to be there. Let's just say that. What I came away with a couple of strong feelings. The first is, this place was never meant to be a detention center. It is a processing place where they have cement rooms with cement beds, cement benches. There are, you go into these, and there's like glass on one wall of each room. So there is zero privacy. If you want to use the bathroom, you have to basically walk behind a waist-high barrier, but it's completely open to the world. If you've been there for a while and you need a shower, you'd have to walk down the hallway to these showers in a completely separate, just like exposed, in an open hallway. It is completely inhumane. And the folks in there are like so scared, so confused. When we went in, they said, "Oh, ma'am, you're not allowed to talk to anybody." And I'm like, I'm a United States Senator. I can talk to whoever I want to. And my Spanish is not great, but we had people who were able to speak Spanish who were on our team. And we spoke to this one woman who had been in detention for 6 days. And she'd been sort of bounced around from place to place. She was picked up in a little town, and then moved to another little town, and then finally moved to this building, which is this giant federal building right next to the airport. But here's what's really incredible and so wrong about what they're doing. So they bring people into Whipple, they process them, they take away all of their worldly goods, they take away their phones, they take away their identification and their papers. And then their goal is to, as quickly as possible, put them on a plane and fly them to Texas. No, they have no goal of ascertaining whether they're being detained for any legal reason. They're flown to Texas, and then they're in detention, and then a lot of them, they're ending up having to fly back because they actually, the judges say, no, you can't detain this person. So it's just such an incredible trauma and also such a colossal waste of time and money.
Yes.
Yeah, how much waste, fraud, and abuse is happening there? It seems
No
like
kidding,
exclusively.
V. I know, no kidding, V. I mean, there's been an outside estimate that this effort is costing the taxpayers of the United States of America. I mean, this is the least of our. I mean, there's so many problems here. This is the financial problem. $18 million a week.
And who's benefiting from that, though? Because it's not like $18 million is going towards caring for these people. It's to private chartered flights. It's to privately owned detention centers. It's like there's somebody who is looting the American taxpayer to do these atrocities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This feels like a little taxation without representation.
A little bit.
It is. But you know what happened is when the Republicans passed this big, beautiful bill, they sent $75 billion to ICE. Now, I have been told that is more money than the Marine Corps has.
That's correct, yeah.
No.
And the Marines don't have enough uniforms right now. This has been an issue for 5 years. We can't even get the cloth to cut the uniforms that we require, but we've got 18 million to just fly people around and harass them.
The only military bigger than ICE or DHS is China and the United States military. Such an unfathomable. Sorry, go ahead. Just
no, and this is a federal police force there to basically police Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And this is so interesting, right? Because I know I have a lot of colleagues in the United States Senate that are way, way, way more conservative than I am, but fundamentally they are civil libertarians.
Right.
They're like, do not tread on me. Do not try to tell me what to do.
What happened?
Yeah, that's what's going on. And they're pissed about this. They're like, this can't be right. This cannot be right. Now, are they going to do anything about it? Is of course, the question. But
that's a really good set. Yeah, go ahead, Meredith. You're thinking.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking we know the Senate has this 2-week stopgap to fund DHS as Democrats negotiate with Republicans on reforms to DHS operations, ICE and CPB. So what are Democrats actually hoping to get out of these negotiations?
Well, so this is how I see it.
Yeah.
I kind of first of all, I'm from Minnesota. I want ICE out of Minnesota.
Yeah.
They need to leave. I can't vote for one more penny for ICE, given what has happened in my state. So I just have to put that out there.
Are you saying abolish ICE?
I
feel like I'm hearing.
What I am saying, this is actually really important because I think this is a bit of a thing. I think we need to rip ICE down to the studs. We need to start over with ICE.
Yeah.
ICE has been this is a federal agency for 22 years.
Not even that long.
It is fundamentally corrupted and we need to start over. I am not saying that we need to not have immigration enforcement.
Sure.
And I think that's why I'm avoiding the language because I think that when, it becomes a way for people who don't like us to try to go after us by saying that we want open borders. I'm tired of that fight.
Sure.
That's ridiculous, But I'm glad that's what I'm saying. But that's not really on the table right now. We don't have the votes for that.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's how I would just say it. First, these federal agents should be required to abide by the basic best practices and standards that every single police department in the whole country abides by.
Mm-hmm.
Police departments can't just pull people out of their cars and arrest them and detain them for no reason. They can't put masks over their faces. They have to identify themselves. They can't storm into somebody's house and steal them unless they have a warrant. It's the kind of basic standards. Okay, that's good, but who trusts these guys right now?
No.
We could pass a law, and are they going to do it? Of course not. So we need to have accountability. We need to have a way of having there be consequences if they don't follow the law, because honestly, a lot of this stuff is already the law.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not following it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
So it's not like we're plowing new ground here in terms of what the law is. And so what kind of accountability might that look like? I mean, when you have a police department that goes off the rails when there are serious problems, we have basically, outside folks that come in and monitor them. They ensure that they are following the law. We can't rely on Pam Bondi's Justice Department to do that. We need, we need real accountability. And so my goal is to make sure that we are tough negotiators, and that we don't do something that just provides some window dressing for all of my Republican colleagues who feel nervous about this, but nothing really changes in Minnesota or other places around the country. I can't abide that.
Can't we get rid of stuff like the bonuses, which are kind of bogus and I think if you disincentivized what they've been selling ICE agent as, like, you probably would have less of an issue with it if we can't fully abolish it. But it's like the bonuses, the propaganda that they post, the way that they say, join ICE, be an American hero, the way that they're allowed to carry live rounds after only 47 days of training, the masking, like there's just so much that if we take CPB, right, border control, and we take local police officers and we say, okay, CPB deals with the border and the police deal with the crime, what is ICE really left to do other than be this goon squad and private police for the president?
Yeah, and there, remember that when ICE was, originally envisioned, it was supposed to be, enforcement like at the border. Like, so you have people who come in. Let's say you have somebody cross the border and they're dangerous. They're axe murderer. You want to detain them. You want to make sure that they're not. But of course, that's not what's going on right now. And what is, I think, so important for people to understand is that every day that ICE is in Minnesota, Minnesotans are less safe.
Right.
They are not arresting the worst of the worst. They are detaining Liam.
Yeah, they're going door to door in neighborhoods. I mean, when you look in the background, it's very easy to feel like it's my neighborhood in Rochester. This is like, a Main Street America.
Yeah. I have a crazy idea. What? We just taxed billionaires, paid people a living wage, and made it a lot less expensive to go to college. Because
there you go.
Here's what I think. I think if there was a little more to go around, people, would not be victimized, would not be making these immigrants out to be these criminals, which 99% of them are not. And then the other piece of it would be I think I am not defending these ICE agents, but I think a lot of them are desperate. I think they need money. I think they probably don't have good health insurance. I think they probably didn't wake up one day and said, I want to terrorize immigrant communities, but they've bought into the lie that the immigrants are taking things from them. And so I'm just why don't we just tax the billionaires, make it a little bit better for the rest of us? And that could maybe make some of it go away.
Yeah. Well, I just love what you're saying because, this attack on immigrants, on people that are seen as the other is all part of a big strategy. To distract us from the reality that this economy is completely rigged. There's plenty of money in this economy. The problem is that it's all just going to a few people. And that's not an accident. That's happening by design. It's rigged that way. And the Trump administration has rigged it even further, certainly to enrich themselves, but also the, wealthy, crypto billionaires and the tech billionaires that are benefiting so greatly. And then everybody else is under stress. Nobody else can afford their lives. You can't afford a place to live or your childcare. And it causes this division and tension. And it doesn't, these are choices that we make. We need to make completely different choices about how how we go after this concentrated power so that people actually have a chance to live their best lives in this country and are not just sort of under the thumb of this economy that is basically designed to help the rich get richer.
Can you remind the Senate today when you're in there real quick that we really do want to see accountability before reconciliation too? There has to be accountability before reconciliation. Trying to find the centrist middle situation is just not going to fly with the public right now. And I don't think it's where we're at yet. But if you just throw out accountability before reconciliation.
And dare I say, I remember my senior year, I started getting a little wild at Arlington Catholic High School, okay? Throwing a few things out there, switching some things up for the night. And I know this is, sadly for the people of Minnesota, this is your last term. So, I mean, what do you think? First of all, God, how normal are you that you are?
He's retiring, I know.
Everybody else, they're I'm going down with the
but you were one of the good ones. Couldn't we have gotten somebody else?
No.
We'll make sure we have another good one. I got ideas about that.
Enough. Thank you.
Where do you sort of see yourself a year from now? Do you have a sense?
Well, I mean, it's people ask me this, and I don't. It's a kind of hard question to answer because I'm like actually so deep in what is happening right now, and I really want to stay there and do everything that I can, and then like if I fantasize about that, I'm like, I hope that I am someplace warm, and I hope my phone is turned off. But I only want that to be like that for a bit, right?
Yeah.
Because I am an organizer at heart. I have been an organizer my whole life, and I'm not going to stop doing that work. I'm just going to do it in a different way. And I don't know what that's going to look like exactly. But
Captain Tina Smith dolphin tours off the coast of St. Petersburg just for a couple weeks, you know? That's what I told John Kirby to do. I feel like it was a good advice.
That's right. Everybody needs to know that in this world, you do need to give yourself some grace to rest, and then you're back to do to do the work that you're best that you can do, and that's how I see it. So I don't know. Stay tuned. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Well, we hope you go out in a blaze, like you
give them hell.
Oh, I will.
Senator Smith.
I'm going to keep on, as I said, I am so ready to keep on making good trouble over the next 11 months and beyond.
Well, we value that here at the moment. So thank you so much for coming and joining us and representing the people of Minnesota.
Thank you all. It's great to be with you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Senator Smith.
Bye.